Pivot tables are a very useful feature within Excel for representing data in maybe a more meaningful or useful way, and some relatively useful pieces of analysis can be carried out very quickly using a pivot table. So we have an example here where we have 3 subjects and 4 students, and we're representing their grades. So you can see that we've got the subjects broken down, so we have English, Irish and Maths, and then the score for each student within those. If we wanted to redraw the table, we can see it in terms of maybe how each student performed. We can redraw it very quickly. It gives us a kind of a new breakdown of the data, and it redraws our graph for us. So if we want to do that, we have to start off with our basic data. So this is how we often see data that's collected. It's repetitive and it can be quite extensive. So the first thing that we do is we highlight our data. Then we go up to Insert and Pivot Table. So it's just asking us where we want to put it. We're going to put it onto a new worksheet, and it presents us with a blank pivot table. So over here on the right hand side, if we switch on all of these headings which have been taken out or extracted from our data, we can see that it's populating the pivot table for us. Now at the moment it's showing us a sum of the scores, which isn't of any real use. So the first thing we can do is change that to an average by double clicking on it, and we're going to select average. So we have all the basic calculations in there, standard deviation, variance and so on. So if we select OK, it's now telling us a new set of useful information about our students. So it's giving us an average of the scores. If we wanted to see what the scores were in terms of each subject, we click on subject over here in the bottom right hand corner and drag it to the top of the list. So it redraws the pivot table to show us what the average scores were in each subject. So we can reorder this list as we require. If we want to create a filter, so we can switch off, we'll say, a particular gender, we can click on our gender heading, bring it into the filter box up here just above the rows, and it generates this filter option up here. So now if we wish, we can decide to see only the female results or male results, or we can leave it back showing everybody's results. So once we have our pivot table created and we're happy with it, we may decide to create a pivot chart. So in here, it's in the Analyze section, or you may find it here in Insert. We can put in a pivot chart. So it shows us, it pretty much draws it for us, everything we need straight away. So I'm just going to select OK here. And it shows us a pivot chart here of what it is we're looking at. So we can put a new heading on it as we wish. We can call it pivot chart. And we can redraw this chart depending on what we do with our data. So if, like we did before, if we want to see a breakdown in terms of each person instead of a subject, we can drag the name to the top of the list, or we can switch off, we'll say, a gender. We only want to see the male results, and it redraws our pivot chart for us. A little problem you might encounter is that the pivot chart updates, and you may not get exactly the chart you want without having made changes, or you may make changes and you want to use the previous chart. I often just copy and paste them as a picture. So I right click if I wanted to use this picture and copy it onto a new sheet, paste it in there, and if I make a change, I can just paste in a new picture as I require. And that is effectively pivot tables.